the man to my left, the Pro Football Hall of Famer, Heisman Trophy winner, two-time Super Bowl champion, and MVP of Super Bowl VI from the Dallas Cowboys, care of Vices, Roger Staubach. Good to see you, sir.
Good seeing you, Rich. Yeah.
Good to see you. That's an applause line. My gosh. I think we're all excited to see Roger Staubach. Or wait a minute. Mike, can you give me the proper music to set up what I just did, please? Go ahead and hit it. I think it's a little better this way. He is a Pro Football Hall of Famer and Heisman Trophy winner, two-time Super Bowl champion, and MVP of Super Bowl VI. Care of Vices, Roger Staubach. A little better. Yeah, see?
Yeah.
It's more appropriate.
Oh, that was. I don't see any Cowboy jerseys over there.
I know. Well, there would have been, I guess, if the Cowboys had made it, for sure. There definitely would have been. But there are Cowboys fans everywhere, and obviously you're a major reason why, having built the Cowboys up from the ground floor back in the day when they first were called America's team. Now that you're here at Super Bowl 53, asking the MVP of Super Bowl VI, I mean, what was it like back in the day at the Super Bowl? Nothing like what we're seeing today. Right?
Well, the Super Bowls have just continued to grow every year. I was still in the Navy when the Cowboys they lost to Green Bay in the Ice Bowl, and I think the Super Bowl started back then. Packers won 2 years in a row, and then when I joined the Cowboys, we were in the 70s. We were in the hunt all the time, and we were in 5 Super Bowls. We won 2 of them, and we lost to the Steelers a couple of times, and the other one I didn't get a chance to play, and I was on the bench, but that was against Baltimore. So it's hard to believe how it's grown to where it is today. Even back then, it was a big deal, but today it's all over the place. It's much more. I think the TV ratings, everything is just much more bigger on. Everybody's looking forward to the Super Bowl.
So was there like a big media hype presence?
Yeah.
Super Bowl?
Yeah,
VI,
there was, and we'd get there a week earlier, and we'd have a media day, and it was gradually. I went to Super Bowl 13, so that's quite a while ago, but it still was. Those are it's a big deal.
Do you remember who the halftime act of Super Bowl VI was, Roger?
Super Bowl VI, the halftime act?
Yes, in Tulane, where you played it. Do you remember, or you don't?
No, was that you or something?
No, it was definitely not me.
I was in the locker room. I didn't know.
It was Ella Fitzgerald,
wow.
Carol Channing, and Al Hurt.
Is that right?
And the U.S. Marine Corps drill team in a salute to Louis Armstrong.
Oh wow, yeah.
A little bit different now.
Yeah.
A little bit different.
Well, I liked New Orleans a lot. We won twice in New Orleans, and we lost in Miami. So. To the Steelers, but we won in New Orleans. So I have you have your favorite places that you remember, and New Orleans was after we won in Super Bowl VI when we beat Miami. It was shortly before my mother passed away, and she really had a blast at the Super Bowl. I can still. The two of us were behind somebody on a motorcycle driving around New Orleans, and I could not believe she got on the motorcycle. But
she did.
She was so happy that we won the Super Bowl, and I got the MVP because Dwayne Thomas wouldn't talk to anybody. So
what do you mean?
Well, he had a great game. We had I had a good game, and Dwayne ran the ball very well. Our offense, Calvin Hill and Dwayne Thomas. But Dwayne, he was a great player, but he just wouldn't talk to the media and everything. I think if he did, he would have got the vote for MVP. So.
Now, when you mentioned Calvin Hill, I've not asked you this question because we've heard about it from Grant Hill. Is it true you named Grant Hill by suggesting the name to Calvin?
Yeah, they were having a hard time. He and Janet were just going crazy about a name, and so they were. Calvin's dad was Grant or Henry, and so they were going back and forth. And I said, "Well, just name him Grant Henry Hill, and that way you get everything in there." And that was after 2 days. So finally, he was named Grant Henry Hill. So I was responsible for that. Yeah, I had. Yeah,
that's unbelievable.
Yeah. He wasn't my son, but I was
about to say.
responsible.
I mean, have you named anybody else? Is that the only person you've helped name, Roger? I mean,
Well, our 5 kids.
Okay, other than that, obviously, other than your own.
And our 15 grandkids. I haven't helped on those, but on our kids, I actually helped on.
Was Landry any different Super Bowl week?
Yes, he was. First of all, he was intense. He was an engineer. You know, he had goals: outstanding, reasonable, believable, achievable. They were measured, and he was an engineer. And his preparation was his strength. That's why we won for 20 years in a row. We were well prepared, but on the field, things had to happen. You know, he allowed me to run. He hated me running at the beginning, and he said, and even my last year with the team, we were watching film, and he said, "Roger, you got to stop that running." I said, "Well, Coach, I'll be retiring pretty soon." Oh, okay. So he put up with that, but he believed in you drop back, you read your keys, and you throw the football. That's exactly how Brady does it. He was fantastic at what he does. But he really was in preparation. He just was a great coach as far as how he prepared. So that was his way of things, and mine was a little different. I just wanted to go out and win and run and do things, and we got along really well because he knew I wanted to win, and the players believed in me, and so he actually put up with me those first few years. I thought he was going to trade me, but we won the Super Bowl in '71, and that helped a lot.
You thought Roger Staubach, you thought Tom Landry was going to trade you.
I really did. Yeah, I thought I was not. You know, I wasn't a just straight pocket passer. But he really was creative. We put the shotgun in '75 because he knew I could run a little bit. We ran from the shotgun a few times, but we also had it in. No one else had the shotgun.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah, now you see the shotgun on 4th and inches. Yeah. People go on a shotgun.
But he was creative, and we had motion. Like Drew Pearson was in motion all the time. What the defensive backs used to get up on top of the wide receivers and just hit them off the line of scrimmage and keep running with them that way. So he put one in motion, which legally you could have one in motion. So he couldn't get hit off the line of scrimmage. So we were the only team that had anybody in motion too. And so Coach Landry was really creative. He was a really good X and O coach, and the emotion side of it and what goes on the field and everything else was taken over by the Leroy Jordans and the Bob Lilly's, and and hopefully myself on offense.
Sure, absolutely. And then it's interesting, you mentioned how you were in the Navy during the Ice Bowl, and obviously an MVP of Super Bowl VI, a champion a second time less than a decade later. The fact that we're seeing Brady in his 9th Super Bowl, you're the perfect person to ask since you've seen a lot, you played against many. People say he's the undisputed greatest of all time. What do you think? Well,
one of the things really hard to predict, obviously, is drafting a quarterback. I mean, there's some that are obvious, and Troy Aikman with Dallas was one of the best drafts ever, but they knew that right away. But Brady was taken in the 6th round, and they obviously didn't understand his strengths, or he would have been drafted sooner. And his strengths are he's got a very good arm, but he gets rid of the ball quickly. He sees what's going on, and he evidently understands what's going on more than most quarterbacks because he gets rid of that ball quickly. It's hard to sack him, and he doesn't run. He doesn't really buy time running around, but he does it with his mind and reading the keys on defense. He can tell when it's zone man to man, and he knows that the receivers know when to hook up on a zone and make the break on a man-to-man, and he gets rid of the ball, and he picks out that receiver, whether it's Gronk or Edelman or whoever it is.
So is that a yes?
Yes. He's amazing. He's really the best at being able to get rid of that ball and knowing what's going on there. And he's got he's a good athlete. He's stays in great shape.
Yeah, I mean you played till you're 37. I mean this man's a 41-year-old now. He has never known what it's like to be a 40-year-old not finishing up in the Super Bowl. He was a 40-year-old last year, and he's a 41-year-old right now. It's unbelievable.
But 41. If you stay in shape, you're. I had some concussion issues. I was just turning 38, and so I played 11 years, and I was told by Dr. Fred Plum at Cornell Medical School that I should the next one could be the real problem in your life. You've had too many of them. So I retired then, but I was still playing physically at a very good level then because I stayed in shape. And that's what Brady, it's you know, they talk about a bad game because he's 41 years old. Well, he had a bad game when he was 30. So he still is playing great football at his age, and he just needs to not listen to people to tell him how old he is, to just get out there and keep doing what he's doing.
Well, in terms of concussions, we'll get to the Vice's helmet in a second, but I do want to ask you, Roger Staubach, about the current state of the Cowboys. You mentioned how Aikman was a surefire quarterback draft pick, but he was a first overall pick. And you mentioned where Brady was in the 6th. What about a 4th-round draft choice in Dak? Do you believe he's the future of the Dallas Cowboys?
I think Dak is going to be and continue to be a quarterback that's getting better every year. I think he's a very good quarterback. And the thing about Dak is that he truly has confidence in himself, and he transfers that confidence to his teammates. His teammates really believe in him. Everything that you hear, when I see interviewed by players, they love him. They know that, and he's come through in the 4th quarter. He never quits, never blames anybody else. So he's a leader, and for every bad pass he throws, I mean, everybody, they're usually early in the game. He's pretty well in the game, and he's got a good winning record. So I'm disappointed in the question marks on Dak and his strength, and I think his future is going to be very good. I think he'll be the Dallas quarterback for a number of years.
Are you surprised that Jason Garrett is going to have to coach without a contract extension next year?
Someone mentioned that. I'm thinking, well, Jason, I hope went in there and said, hey, listen, we're gonna go to the Super Bowl next year, so don't worry about my contract. I don't need an extended contract.
Right.
So he needs to have a good year next year. And I hope Jason does, because I like Jason, and he's done some good things in Dallas. But this will be a big year for the whole team. The whole team, it's a good football team. So this coming year is going to be a big year, and it's going to be a big year for Jason as far as his future is with Dallas probably.
Well, you know Jerry, right? I mean, so yeah. Jerry is essentially kind of putting everyone on notice. He knows exactly what he's doing. I think he kind of likes that. In a way, don't you think?
Well, I don't know. I'm not. But Jerry he's a competitor. He wants to win, but he is loyal to players. The one thing about the Jones family, they're very generous people. They do a lot in the community. They care about other people, and I think Jerry cares about Jason. Wants to handle it the way you should handle things, but you also have to make some tough decisions. And yet I think he believes that Jason can get things turned around next year.
Yeah. Now, do you think the right decision was made with Scott Linehan bringing in a 29-year-old coordinator now and Kellen Moore?
Well, I wish I was there, because I don't understand the inner workings of some of the coaches there. I've heard more on just great things about him, what a smart kid he is, a good X and O guy, and I go back, and tonight I'm having dinner with Dan Reeves, and Dan Reeves was fantastic. He was a player for us. Then he became the backfield coach, quarterback coach.
Well, they certainly know him here in this town.
And he really helped me a lot. He did a great job in Denver, obviously, the Super Bowls they went to, and then he was here in Atlanta. But so Dan really meant a whole lot to me as a coach, and so that's a very important position, and evidently Moore is going to be the one to take over on to really help Dak get to the next level also.
Roger Staubach here on the Rich Eisen Show. Before I let you go, we've got the Vice's helmet right here. Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes, Doug Baldwin, Golden Tate, and over 100 NFL players are wearing it since it launched last year. What do you say about this helmet that actually helps with what caused you and obviously Troy Aikman, it seems, to retire?
It's a great helmet. I mean, it's the NFL has recognized it in a very positive way. That's why you're seeing, it's in a lot of colleges now and high schools, and I wear it all the time with our 15 grandkids. I have to. I got so it's a great helmet. I mean, the helmet isn't going to be the total answer for concussions, but it's going to be help. My first helmet was a leather helmet in high school. We emulated Notre Dame, and Notre Dame had leather helmets at that time. So I had my first concussion in my leather helmet. Had a couple with not a great helmet at Navy for a while. Then they built a special helmet for me where they padded it. And so when I was with Dallas, so this helmet is really tries to prevent the brain from getting knocked around a little bit.
Well, I mean, your post-playing career has been a model for so many other players. Have you had any effects at all? Do you have effects of concussion after playing the game, Roger, from time to time?
No, George, I haven't had
Nice.
any.
Well done. Well done.
No, it's that's not funny anymore. I don't think. But I've knock on wood. I feel fine. I mean, sometimes my wife says I might forget something that I shouldn't forget, but usually I do it intentionally.
Nice. Well, I don't want to give up any game that you're playing at home, Roger. I don't want to give up the ghost here.
Everything's being investigated now, the CTE, and there's a lot of, I've got a number of teammates that have very severe dementia, so there's probably something to it in sports. I'd like to see young kids everybody play touch football for a while until they get older than they could play. And some kids are playing touch football, but it's hard if you're just playing touch. Then all of a sudden you get in high school and somebody else has been hitting. So it's being investigated, and I think they're trying to do more with the rules, with the equipment. But the CTE thing will get better understood when it's not just players that have died, that they do the testing. So. It's a serious issue, concussions, and your brain has got to heal like anything else. So they're keeping players out. When I had I got knocked out a number of times. Then you have the dingers where you just get confused, but you need to come out when you have a dinger, when you're confused, and even though you start thinking again, because your brain hasn't really healed yet.
Right.
So today they're doing a much better job of keeping players out of the game. Might even skip a couple weeks. So it's going in the right direction, but football is one tough sport, and force equals mass times acceleration. I used to plug that at the Naval Academy with the slide rule, by the way. So
I love it.
So players are bigger and faster, so the force is greater today. You get hit harder today than even in the old days. So.
Well, you got the Vices helmet here, and it's a thrill to have you here, Roger.
Well, thanks,
really
Rich.
is. Really, I'm honored whenever you call in or stop by. It's great. So thanks for being here to kick off the Friday program. Roger Staubach is right here on the Rich Eisen Show.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.